It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Cooperville Live. Joe is in the house throwing up those devil horns on a Monday. Yes. Ah. It's the only live show scheduled for the week. We going Naples. We going Naples. Yeah, we are leaving on a jet plane. Have I annoyed you enough with my singing thus far? Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Where are we? We are here. Look at this. The wall is done. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. The wall is finally done. That was one of those things, and I'm sure you've experienced this before in your life, where you have like, this would be really cool. Then let's bust this out in a couple of hours. And then 3 weeks later, like, this fucking wall done, please. It was one of those projects, but it's done. It's not. It's the wall's done. We're putting up some stuff. We got like a bunch of flags out over here. There's a TV behind those flags. I don't know. I haven't been able to think about it. What's up, Pete? Pete's in the house. Joe must be nice. It's only been a decade since the last time I took a vacation. So we'll see. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. It's getting there. Like I said, I think Monster would be paying me more to have the first thing up as their sign. You know what I'm saying? Like, signs up first. Yeah. But it's Monday. It's a beautiful day if you're watching from the Chippewa Valley. Sunshine, 81. I have a latte. What more do you want? Technically, I'm on vacation. It's not true. Big show today. Dr. J in the house. Kentucky Dom joining us later on. So a big Monday show. We wanted to go out before the vacation with a bang. And we're going with a bang. We banging today. So super excited for today's show. Got a Chippewa Chats teaser to finish. And then I'm leaving the fest grounds today. And they're like, hey, we need you to update the commercial, because I do the voice commercials for Country Fest. CountryFest.com for your tickets. Hey, we need you to update the commercial. I'm like, I'm leaving at 4 a.m. Oh, we'll get it to you. I'm like, well, the clock's a ticking, people. So there's work to be done before the fun begins. But, you know, do I have to say I got to give some love to my homeboy Warren Garrett. Warren Garrett rocking out, sent me out a new one of his new hats. As I commented on it, I had him on the show months ago. I'm like, dude, that hat's fire. He's like, I'll send you one. And it came today. So big ups to Warren Garrett. Warren Garrett Music on Insta. Thanks to Warren Garrett for the hat. I'll rep that shit. Look at that. It's so pretty. That's basically what I packed for our trip. Hats and shorts. Bunch of hats. Bunch of shorts. Got a lot of that Cooperville Live hats. I got a ton of those in the arsenal. We're bringing some of those. Bringing some of those hats. CoopervilleClothing.com. Make sure you check it out. Order some stuff. Cool things for the dudes that are watching. Man, I'm just a huge fan of this one, man. I love the gas tee. I love it. It doesn't show the back. I wish it had a back view of it, but it's got the Cooperville logo on the back too, so it's pretty sweet. Stuff for the ladies too. Ladies got those racerbacks. We got that crop hoodie. Got the Cooperville tee and the racerback, Cooperville racerback. I love this hoodie. It shows the back. It's got the middle finger mic. Boop, boop, boop. Better bring a hoodie. I think I have a hoodie. I think I have two hoodies packed. I got a Line's Not Cheap hoodie, and then my We Are Not Machines, Nothing More. So I got that. I had a couple of hoodies. But we checked the forecast, and the low temp is 70. That's the low. The overnight low, 70 degrees. So, and I sweat. Like I'm a sweater, not a sweater, but a sweater. So like 90 during the day and 70 at night. That's the forecast, current forecast for Naples and Fort Myers. We went out to Lupe's last night. It was just a beautiful day, beautiful late afternoon yesterday. We went out to Lupe's and got a seat overlooking the river. It's just gorgeous scenery. If you're ever in the Chippewa Falls area, make sure Lupe's is your destination. Sat out overlooking the water. Had a couple of beers, had a burger, and talked to Lupe while I was out there because obviously we did the Chippewa Chats with Lupe, and it's like, we're going to Florida, and everybody's like, oh, here's like, give us like 10 different bars that we had to hit. And we got to hit these bars while we're down there. So we're accumulating a list of locations that we have to see. So, Joey, you feel my pain on the sweater? I'm a sweater. I just, like, even today, even this morning, it was, it wasn't like warm this morning, but I went on my run and I was like, whoo, this hits different. It hits in a sweaty kind of way. So it'll be interesting. Sweat out all the sin of Florida, which I'm looking forward to, though. It'll be good. It'll be bueno. Super excited. What else we got? CaptainCoops.com. Running that deal right now. Naples 25 is the promo code at checkout. Naples 25, all one word, is the promo code. So use that. Get 25% off your order at CaptainCoops.com. That's rolling until we get back on Sunday. So Sunday at midnight, that deal will expire. Naples 25 at checkout, 25% off your order at CaptainCoops.com. The two fine sponsors of this here show. It's too hot already. Here it's supposed to get nice, not nice, but it's supposed to get warmer up here. 80s and stuff. 80s continue. Like there's a dip, and then it goes back up into the 80s by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then with the 80s, as you know, the spring 80s in Wisconsin, you get that chance of thunderstorms too, which we need some rain. Seriously, like it's watering the lawn, watering the garden. Like, come on, man, just give me some rain. I would like some rain today. But we'll see. We don't know. This hat just came in the mail today, so I haven't had a chance to form it. But it's got a nice look to it. A little trucker action. I'm a fan. So, again, thanks to Warren Garrett for that stuff. What about y'all? Y'all have a good weekend? Things good? Pretty decent weather weekend. My son was up. We had a chance to get on the hang. I put him to work. With the wall. I told him, I'm like, bring your tools down. I got him a tool for his birthday. I got him a toolbox and a bunch of random tools. And then he got a drill. The points of all the things that we've talked about in preparing for a trip. You know how it is. You're like, okay, make sure you have this, and this. We're scoping out different things. We watched like some YouTube documentary on the history of Naples. And like we got to yesterday and we're like, I feel like there's something that we're missing. And then Delta sent us an email, like the consumer email. They're like, hey, hope you're ready for your flight. And the flight attendant has a mask on. I'm like, that was it. That's the thing we need to get before we go.
Yeah, before it used to be, make sure you pack your underwear, your toothbrush. Now it's have your mask, which, kind of really ties into just prior to coming on the show, I had seen from a very reputable source that Stanford came out with a recent study said that masks are 100% useless. Now, I have not verified that yet, so I want to emphasize to your listeners that I will do so because that's what I do. I do it for you, so you don't have to. And but the point being is that Stanford is not necessarily a really right-leaning school. In fact, it's one of the most liberal schools that you would ever find. And so this is not a political statement. This is a statement of science. And you and I both know people like to quote the science when the narrative fits or when the science fits their narrative, even though the science may be junk science. And please, as somebody who considers himself a scientist all my life, because I study, it's what I do. I love to do it, right? Science is fluid.
Yeah.
science changes. Why is that? Because science is based on data. And the more data you have, the outcomes can shift. So therefore, don't get too hooked on what you hear now, because as the more data comes in and that data is analyzed and the data is collated, the results may be very different than what you anticipated or what you thought it was. So we're really to be very cautious to people who've already formed opinions, because you might be wrong.
That's been an eye-opener, I think, for a lot of people, and maybe not an eye-opener, but an eye-opener in the sense that over the course of the last 18 months, 16 months, whatever we're going on now, because that science has changed and evolved, people are like, but no, it's this way. No, it's like, I remember in March of last year, they said this, and people get like stuck. And it's almost like a marathon race or a triathlon, when you're like, okay, I completed the first, and I'm just going to stop here, not going to continue on. I'm going to stop at the knowledge base that I have and not continue to evolve with the science. So you learned that a lot of people didn't realize that science was fluid and science is ever changing. And the more data points that you get, the more, closer to the actual answer, which then that actual answer can be something completely different as the science changes. So, but you've seen a lot of people who get stuck on a topic or stuck on a particular data point, and they hold ground at that point, and that's where they're going to stay. Like, I'm staying here where the last I heard that there was an update.
Listen, the other thing too, I wish this wasn't true, but it is. Science is not free of bias, like biasnesses are all around us. What does that mean? Well, pharmaceutical companies fund studies for specific outcomes, and they pay the scientists to come up with a specific outcome. Okay. And I can cite countless examples. And then years later, we come to find out that it wasn't really the case. Anybody remember Celebrex? About opioids.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on and on. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives, families destroyed. The science was settled. No, it wasn't.
No.
The science was manipulated. A couple other quick notes I want to jump on, because I think it's important to update where we're at. Way back in March and April last year, to keep everybody locked in the house, we were told that we need to isolate because we can transmit COVID from asymptomatic to symptomatic, or from the asymptomatic to the people around us. Another conclusion: asymptomatic people do not transmit COVID. Okay. How do we know this to be true? Here's what the science says. Only when you're symptomatic is your viral load large enough to shed to someone else. Asymptomatic people who carry COVID, viral load is so small and minuscule, there's no carry. So there is no reason, if you're healthy and well, to lock yourself in the house ever again. And if you do so, you're doing so out of ignorance or fear. And no one should ever come from there. It should be based on what the information, what the data is saying. So that's what I'm saying. Science changes as time goes on. And part of that reason too, Coop, I really want to emphasize this, is when COVID testing was done, the doctor who developed the test implicitly stated that this test should not be used to diagnose COVID. Now, all right, so it's in the documentation.
Right.
However, when he was studying, they cycle the viral through a certain cycles per second. And he was using 17 cycles per second to offshoot a viral load, which would positively or negatively diagnose a COVID infection. Now, the CDC was doing it was recommending at 40 to 45. Why is that an issue? Because at 40 to 45, they were shedding what was called viral debris, basically the end stage. So people could have been infected weeks or months ago, and there's still some, some that the exposure they're dealing with, they're shedded at 40, 45. So that becomes a positive case, even though they're asymptomatic and a non-carrier. So there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of positive tests done or that were concluded as a result of the way this test was done, which led to massive lockdowns, financial strain, kids, emotions, anything you can think of. And guess what? 2 months ago, they shifted the cycle rate from 40 to 28. What happened a few months ago?
Yeah, all of a sudden things started to open up. The cases started to decline. The positive tests
Shockingly.
started to go down. It's amazing.
Shockingly.
Huh.
So listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you have to start tying some of this stuff together. And as we start to see more conclusion, here's the final question I'll leave about this COVID, because you and I beat this to death, but I think it's really important because there's very few places where people can get this information.
Right.
Why is it that I know this? And why is it that you don't know this or not hearing this readily or freely in our local media, national media? Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Right. 100%.
And it's a lot easier to continue to perpetuate a lie than to stand up and say, you know, we might have been wrong. And here's what we're finding. So they just ignore it and just go on like, hey, don't look over here.
There's nothing
Ignore
to see
that,
here.
or ignore the guy in the corner over here.
Right. It's the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
That's exactly right.
There's nothing to see over there. Oh wait.
Yeah.
there's a man controlling the whole thing in Oz. It's and the CDC, of course, made the announcement last week, and it's been kind of an interesting to watch. I don't want to call it a fallout, but intriguing to me that the CDC comes out and they says, hey, if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear the mask indoors, outdoors, whatever. So they but then they caveat it, of course, with like, except airplanes, concert venue, so they have their list of things that you should still mask up at. So that comes out, and then all of a sudden you have this strange, I don't want to know, virtue signaling maybe is the thing, but people who are of the vaccinated, they've checked their box. They've shown their card on their Facebook. It's their profile picture now. Like, look at me. People are like, no, wait. I don't want to stop wearing my mask, because then I could be then misconstrued. People could think that I'm just somebody who doesn't wear a mask. Then what will people think of me if they'll go, well, that person obviously doesn't believe in COVID, or is so they're retaining their mask in order to virtue signal the fact that they're still firmly grasped in the narrative of mask is better, mask is proud. It's just a strange mental thing that's going on with people who are like, no, okay, so they said it's fine, if we follow what the CDC says. But I'm not going to do it because I'm afraid people will judge me on the fact that I'm not wearing a mask and think that I'm somebody who is a non-masker or a non-vaxxer. It's a strange phenomenon.
I could prove to you that's actually true. This previous weekend, we were out and I was having a conversation, and this woman said to me, she goes, because she was wearing a mask, and believe me, I don't have this conversation all the time. Some people think all he talks about is COVID. I don't know, but it came about she was vaccinated, and I was curious, why you're wearing a mask. She goes, well, I'm wearing a mask, she said, because I don't want to be associated with those who don't wear a mask. And like, she raised her eyebrows in that very condescending. I said, well, what does that mean? She goes, Trumpers. So I said to her, oh, so everyone who doesn't want to wear a mask or doesn't get a vaccine is a Trumper? And she said, yeah. So I politely, in my mind, I'm going, man, if that isn't judgmental, number one. Number two, how ignorant. Right. So you talked about virtue signaling here. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So look, it's not about facts. It's about perception. And when perception gets in the way and facts are left to the wind, then we're going to be led down a really, really dangerous path.
Yeah. There was a quote from an MSNBC host, one of their hosts on their show. And the quote was something, I won't get it completely right, but it was something along the lines of needing to rewire our brains to understand that if you see somebody who's not wearing a mask, they are not, this part I know is right, not a threat.
Right. Yes.
So I didn't even know that like people were thinking this as in their minds, like as they go out in public and they see somebody who's not wearing a mask and they go, that person is a threat. So now the rewiring of the brain comment is you have gone so far off of the normalcy path that now you need to try to get yourself back on the on-ramp. And to do that, you need to rewire your brain so you don't look at people who are not wearing masks as threats, but as people who potentially could be vaccinated, therefore they're okay to be non-threatening. I'm like, this is a very scary place to be in society if that rewiring needs to happen, because that means that the wiring happened and like something went in the first place
For sure.
in order to rewire it. That's kind of scary.
Coop, it's a psychosis.
Yeah.
So it's how you define it. It's a sickness. It's a mental sickness. And I mean, harsh for some people to hear, but I'm sorry, you got to hear truth.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of it. It's a sickness. I was out a lot this past weekend. Obviously, we had some good weather and getting out, doing a bunch of things, visiting some garden centers. Man, I got to tell you, way, way more than 50% of our population is either done with it or vaccinated and choosing not to go mask, which leads to a whole nother conversation as it relates to tonight. Our imminent city council is going to vote on whether to continue the mask mandate. Yeah. And I think our county board does so on Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday night. Yeah. And I can't see any reason whatsoever why they would continue it, other than potentially political reasons. There's no logic, there is no reason, and there's no science. Yeah. I just gave you 3 examples why that's not the case. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to wrap with something like that. Like, we'll see what happens, because as much as it doesn't make any sense, there's a very
it's never made any sense.
It's never made any sense. But there's a good possibility that just to hold ground, to hold firm, and in almost one of those things that, like you talked about, in not admitting any past wrongdoing or past bad decisions, we go, no, we're holding firm in our decision to keep the mask mandate. And I think June 30th is the current, it's when the current mask mandate is in effect.
Yes.
So to hold firm to our, not our, I apologize. I don't mean our, their, stance, their line in the sand, they could potentially go, we're just going to keep this in effect until June 30th because we've seen success or we've seen all these things. But agreed, we were out this weekend. We went out and had a nice lunch out at Loopy's overlooking the river. And I mean, but again, Chippewa County. So I didn't see one mask at all. So, yeah, but it's okay because we're north. So it's better up here.
When a 5-year-old doesn't get its way and they believe they're right, they just get on the floor and they throw a tantrum until, their emotional behavior just becomes so overwhelming that the parents just relent and give in, right? That's what a 5-year-old does. We're kind of in the same situation here, so if the mandates are continued, basically it's a bunch of 5-year-olds, and that's an insult to 5-year-olds, by the way, on the ground, banging the ground going, we were right. Don't believe what you hear. We were right. And to show you that we're right, we're going to continue to do what we're doing, even though it's asinine, doesn't make any sense. And I can't prove it logically or scientifically that this is a good decision. Yeah. Because I would debate anybody, anywhere, at any time, but no one's calling me.
The phone isn't ringing. I'm the only one.
Never.
It's like, let's talk about some shit. Let's get it on the, let's get it
well,
on
dude,
the show.
I was nominated to be on this public board, to explore the, I was nominated by 6 different people in our community. I didn't get one phone call from the county board. Shockingly, I was very surprised.
Keep looking at your phone like, maybe I don't have any signal here. No, it seems like I have signal here. I'm getting other calls,
exactly.
but not this one. Yeah, it's strange. Yeah. I did send you an interesting topic just because I picked up on these things, and sometimes, and I think now more so than ever, like they tend to stick with me. And I saw a friend of a friend posted somebody else's tweet, I think, and it was something to the effect of, my friend was 26 and just had her second stroke, all caused by stress and anxiety. We need to take care of each other. And then I had the person who posted it said something to the effect like, stress has caused me, and this person is also in their mid to late 20s, stress has caused me, 2 bouts of shingles towards the end of 2020. Like, this is real, this is legit. And I was kind of taken back, and I wasn't sure if this was a millennial thing, if this was just a different generations tend to process stress in different ways. And again, human to human, people in their 40s like me process stress a different way too. But it was just like the course of a day or two, like 3 different posts of people in their 20s with stress-related health issues. And I brought it up to you. I'm like, is this a generational thing? Is this people not coping with stuff? Is this all part of the COVID narrative that people are overstressing, or is this what is this?
It's not a generational thing, except to the fact that I believe that our collective emotional intelligence has never been lower as a society. What does that mean? It means our ability to handle and deal with adversity, to have the skill sets necessary how to address, deal with it, and handle it in a constructive way has never been at its lowest level.
Yeah.
Why is that? Well, I blame parents. Parents being there to fix everything and never allowing their kids to deal with adversity. Dealing with adversity at 4-year-old, it's not life-shattering and changing, but nonetheless, you're teaching them skill sets. And then so at 8 and 12 and 16. And so by the time they're in their 20s, they've developed a skill set to how to handle and to deal emotionally and physically with adversity. So I believe that it's due because of our low emotional intelligence, our inability to handle stress. Now, stress, as we all know, is a major factor as it relates to health. Why? Because stress downregulates our immune system. So stress fed by fear or anxiety, depression, pick the low tone emotion, they're all essentially the same. The physiological effect is absolutely the same. It downregulates the immune system. That inhibits the immune response, which actually makes them more exposed and their body's more susceptible to getting viruses and infections, shingles is an autoimmune response, weakened immune response, or a hyperactive immune response. So no, it's real, and it's pointed out by the fact that more teenagers and 20-year-olds are on antidepressant, I think the last number I heard, it's north of 75% are on some type of anti-anxiety, antidepressant medication. That's absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd. Now, some certainly may need it temporarily, short term, but they're put on it for a lifetime. Like, that's a lifestyle drug. That's what I need. Rather than giving and teaching coping skills, which creates that, independence and confidence and certainly how to deal with adversity. No, man, it's just you put them on some sort of dependent, pharmacological agent. And guess what? You're on it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And it's scary to hear that number, that 75% number of young adults. And I think you do have a different parenting style than I think that we both had. And you add in like the endorphin rush of a social media post and, how everybody's kind of living, that's how you are, you self-evaluate yourself by how many people like, your post from the weekend, or, hey, I did this. And and when you don't get that dopamine hit, obviously it leads to lower levels and stress, and everybody's kind of, and I think, that's the narrative of COVID, I think is got to have added to that as well, because now you have all the factors that we talked about. And now you have a society that's, twisting and turning, and everything is changing, and nothing is firm, and people are just like on the freak out. And there's just like little things I think that people can add into their daily life, whether it's meditation, whether it's exercise, and we've talked about this, over and over again, the benefits of exercise and going into it, and especially on days when you don't want to, when you're feeling like, if I just take today off, or take the weekend off, or take, a couple of days off. Like, if you go through that process and you're dealing with shit and you come out on the other end at 45 minutes later, an hour later, like, most of the time, the energy that you went into that with, the negative energy, whether that's the stress of a job, whether it's stress of a relationship, stress of life, whatever, most of the time you've either had a chance to kind of let it go, or sometimes you even can create the answer develops itself over the course of that workout. You're like, oh, I kind of jiggled out the crap in my head, and now I can kind of see, black and white what I need to do in order to manage this thing. But there is a reluctancy to add that element in. I can't remember who was talking about. I think I was listening to Tim Pool today. No, it wasn't Tim Pool. I can't remember. Another podcast. And he was talking about this fear of being in an uncomfortable situation. In an uncomfortable situation like working out, you go, oh my gosh, you work out and you sweat and you're breathing heavy and your body hurts, and then but they'll remain in an uncomfortable situation to avoid that uncomfortable situation, even though obviously the benefits of getting in and going through an uncomfortable workout far outweigh sitting in anxiety and depression. In that uncomfortable state, there really is zero benefit of just hanging out in that world and hoping, I hope I don't feel like this tomorrow. Like different levels of discomfort, obviously, but it was a very pertinent point, and I was like, yeah, it's weird. People like this, like, don't want to be uncomfortable yet remain in an uncomfortable situation.
Look, this is one of the things I teach all the time. You're either in the pain of sameness or the pain of change.
Yep.
You might as well choose the pain of change because it leads to a different outcome and growth. And if you don't think you're in the pain of sameness, you're not conscious. You're not aware.
Right.
Because the human condition is one in which is to strive to grow, to expand. It's not contraction.
Yeah.
And in the universe, there's only two motions. There's forward and backwards. There is no stagnation middle. When people want to make the assumption that I like where I am, I'm good. That's the first step towards regression.
Yeah.
Because the universe is in constant motion. So are we, metaphorically and literally.
Mm-hmm.
And so unless you're in the pain of growth, which is way better, because every time you take, you were mentioning, we've been taught to avoid pain in any way, shape, or form since we've been little kids, and even more so the current generations. There's a pill, potion, and powder for everything there is, to self-medicate, to avoid pain. So subconsciously, we've been taught that pain's a bad thing. Not all pain's bad.
Right.
A lot of pain is really good. And it's how you view pain as an opportunity to learn and grow and to embrace, to make distinctions, to change. So we need to flip the narrative about what pain's about. But part of it is our culture is that every time, little Johnny gets the sniffles, we got to put him on some decongestant.
Yeah.
Well, let little Johnny's immune system run its course and do what it's designed to do. It's way smarter than some decongestant.
Right.
The same example is a fever. Fever is good. What do you mean fever is good, Jed? It's crazy. Your body has this innate intelligence that knows that a bacteria cannot survive in the body above 98.6 degrees. So what does it do? It raises central core temperature and elevates it so it's the defense mechanism to kill the bacteria. Yep. What do? We take an over-the-counter medication to suppress the fever. Hence, we get a longer sickness and worse. And every time you do that, you're basically undermining the effectiveness of your own immune response. So it's really a really powerful point, man. It really even ties back to what we just started talking about a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think it was a good ending to the circle of all things. And you never cognitively, well, you should think about those things about over the course of time. Every time little Johnny gets a fever and you're just pounding him with, whatever, Tylenol or anything that, fever reduction stuff. And over the course of time, that immune system doesn't get a chance to fully develop and become strong and be able to fight things off. And, we've talked about this, playing in dirt, going out and kids always want to we got to keep them clean, and make sure you're using antibacterial soap and hand sanitizer and all this stuff. And, wash everything with, rubbing alcohol. Like, we've forgotten that the whole reason that we are still in existence is because we didn't do that. We didn't do
right.
that. We didn't invent hand sanitizer and then fire. Like, fire was first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But and there's a bigger problem down the road here. And I'm not saying this, but many of the professionals are saying this. When you use hand sanitizers and these alcohol-based rubs, you're not just killing viral particles as it relates to, a coronavirus or something like. You're killing all the good bacteria too. Bacteria lives in harmony in our environment. We've got trillions of cultures in and outside of our body that allows our bodies to remain in balance, or what's known as homeostasis, to keep us healthy and well. every time we use those agents, we kill the good bacteria, and it makes the stronger bacteria stronger.
Yeah.
And what the concern is, massive superbugs down the road that we can't handle and deal with. Our immune system's been compromised because they've been suppressed over the last 12 months. Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. But we'll keep our heads up. we'll
you got to.
And we'll play in the dirt, and we'll call it good. Dr. J, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you in a week. I will have great stories because we are on a jet plane in T-minus like 12 hours. We're heading.
And have a great time. You've earned it. Enjoy.
Going to Naples, and we'll talk in a week. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll catch up. Great stuff as always. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jay.
You bet. I appreciate it. You bet.
There we go. Dr. J always dropping truth bombs on you. Boom. Learn something. Take copious notes and become a better human. That's all we ask for, right? Just become a better human. Kentucky Dom is going to join us here in just a couple of minutes, so stand by for that. Going to talk about his new single called We All American. If you don't follow him already, make sure you go follow him on the social medias, Kentucky_Dom. He'll be on with us, and then we wrap up for the week. Just while we have some time here, we won't have any scheduled live shows this week at our regularly scheduled 5 p.m. Central juggernaut of fun. But we may do some stuff throughout the course of our vacation. I'm very interested to see how Florida is operating and the vibe down there. So I will give you some updates for that. So make sure wherever you're watching the program that you are subscribing and you're following. Joe, I know you are. Pete, I know you're on there. And a couple other people I've seen jumping in the comments here. And hit the notification button if you're on YouTube, because then it will update you when we go live, and we'll just do some stuff via the phone, because we're not taking the complex down to Florida. It probably wouldn't get through the airport. Probably won't get through TSA. I'm just hoping I don't get the old cavity search. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't sound like a good way to start a trip. But we did. We literally did not. We didn't think about masks until just Saturday. We're like, oh yeah, we need to get that shit. I don't think I have one. I have to go bandito style, which I'm totally fine with. We're going to take a short break. Be back in just a bit with Kentucky Dom. It's one of my favorite beds. ReadyWaves.com. My buddies Joey Walzer, Blake Allison from Devour the Day in Egypt Central. Ready Waves for all of you streamers out there. If you stream and you need high quality, royalty-free, license-free music to use on your streams so they don't shut you down, ReadyWaves.com is the site. They got a great library of music of all different beats and measures and BPMs and LMNOPs and all the stuff you need for your stream or any other production element. So definitely check it out, ReadyWaves.com. And a huge thanks out to Blake and Joey, of course, also behind CoopervilleClothing.com, which you can check out, and CaptainCoops.com. We got the deal running. Naples 25% off your order for Captain Coop stuff. Boom, boom, boom. See that? That's the good stuff right there. Captain's quarters. Girlfriend loves it. Loves it. I always find great music via Instagram. It's become my go-to. There's a Spotify playlist and stuff like that, and Amazon Music. They're starting to do some more discovery stuff. But literally, I will, and I've talked about this before on the show, I will not even be looking at my Insta feed. I will just scroll through slowly, and when somebody has a song clip that's on there and pops up, if I like it, I'm like, oh. And then down the rabbit hole I go, and that is exactly how I found Kentucky Dom. I was on Insta, and he's got a little clip of We All American on there, and I was like, this guy, we got to get him on to the show. And I see him hanging out in the green room. We're going to see if we can bring him on here. There he is. Kentucky Dom, how you doing, my friend?
What's up, big dog?
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. I can't complain at all, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It is so great to talk to you. And I was just telling the story about discovering your music via Instagram. It was a short clip of We All American was on there. And I was like, whoa, got to talk to this fella. And then today, this is a true story. So today I finally had a chance to, because I listened to the song, I had it on the speaker, I had it on the robots that run all the music in the house. But I put the earbuds in when I was at work today and listened to it. And dude, when the Pledge of Allegiance part of that song comes on, like I had the goosebumps that was rolling. It was ridiculous. So I love the new single, man. Just love it.
Oh man, I appreciate it. I can't wait to share the music video with you.
I saw some pictures. It looks like you had a
Yeah.
good time shooting that music video.
Oh man, we got tanks. We got any type of military assault weapon that you can think of. It's just an all around patriotic, fun representation of who we are as Americans and what we love about America and the freedoms that we have. And to me, man, being a black cowboy, a black country boy, I think it's a message that needs to be put out there so that people understand. You be confident. Be confident in what you believe, and don't be afraid to talk about how you was raised and where you came from. It don't matter what people think. You're always gonna have haters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's true on so many levels. And I want to get back to, we'll talk about the music video release. I want to make sure people have that date on there. But I want to talk about you getting into music, because I always find it fascinating to find out kind of the origin story of, your gateway into like music is a thing I like is one avenue. Like I like music. I did 20 plus years in radio. I like music. I was heavily involved. I host a couple of music festivals. But then there's people like you who are like, no, music is my thing. Like I'm going to pursue music outside of, doctor, lawyer, whatever else was on the table. Like when did music first like interject itself into your life and become something you do for a living?
Yeah, man. So, I've always loved music, man. Ever since I was a kid, I can remember, falling asleep to music. And, it doesn't matter. I can hear a song from 1983 or 1992, and I haven't heard it in a long time. As soon as it comes on the radio, or if I hear it, that same melody that I heard the first day I heard it, I can play it back just like that. And so for me, man, music is life. Music is situations. It's gotten me through so many tough times in my life. And so because I know that, I want to make music that brings people through tough times in their life. And so I would say, ever since I've been a child, man, I knew I was going to be in music. I just didn't know when. I didn't know what it was going to sound like. And then, within the last, year or two, I really decided, man, I want to take this thing serious. I want to make it a career, and I want to put smiles on people's faces and enlighten people through my music. So,
well, I think you're doing a killer job at that already, even just a couple of years in. I was obviously I talked about listening to the new song today, but I went through and listened to all the Tonka Tonka. I was just bouncing. I was bouncing around work today, had my earbuds in. Nobody was bothering me. It was great. But you have obviously a very unique sound, and I think it has so many different awesome elements into it, and it's kind of like something for everybody. You know what I mean? Like you have this smorgasbord of different influences and styles and stuff that all fit into your music. Tell me about like the artist that kind of made you the artist that you are, that you were heavily influenced by.
Oh man. Let's see. So my music is kind of it's diverse. Yeah. It's not really one. I don't even know if it really has its own name yet, because every time I try to tell people what type of music I do, they try to say like hip hop or country rap or whatever. And I don't really think my music even fits into those categories.
Right.
Because because my music it sounds like almost like pop rap, but it also exemplifies the country lifestyle. And a lot of, if you see hip hop and country rap, you see a lot of like, you don't see stuff that you see like I see when I go to my family's house and we're on the farm and there's 16, 20 horses, we're sitting around a bonfire and we're just hanging out like good old conservative America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for me, I think my music is I think the person who I could say is growing up, I really loved listening to like people like Tupac,
Mm,
because Tupac, um, he was outspoken. He wasn't afraid to be who he was, and he stood up for things that he believed in. And then there's also people like Garth Brooks,
mm,
who were ultimate performers and knew how to walk into a room and just steal people's hearts. And those two people together are two people that I feel like growing up, that I heard my family and people around me listening to,
mm.
that if I could just put those two together, they'd
Mm.
be like a superhuman in the music industry.
Well, I think you hit it right on the head though, because you have arguably the best hip hop artist ever in Tupac, and you
Right,
have arguably the best country artist ever in Garth.
right.
I think there would have to be almost like trying to find the word a new definition of your music. We'd have to find a new definition of superhero if you put those two together. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd be like, uh, well, there's Iron Man and there's Batman and then there's Garth Pac or Two Brooks. One of those two things. I'm not sure, but I mean
Right.
that's I mean what a great example of being able to hone in on the message of Tupac, especially when you talk about somebody who was fearless in saying exactly what he thought. I mean, there was no holding back. It was truth and honesty, and obviously, lyrically, maybe one of the best hip hop artists in history. I mean, I don't know who's if there was a Mount Rushmore, he's on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Right.
you have Garth, who really took that country sound of like the George Strait era, and obviously George Strait drew from artists before him. When you talk about Hank and you talk about Johnny Cash, and he just made it like global, like
Right.
a song that you hear and you're like, oh my god, I feel that emotion and that rawness. And even when he's talking about necessarily things that maybe some listeners wouldn't understand, like I've been to the rodeo many a time in my life, so I get the song rodeo. But there's people
Yeah.
who like, man, I just love that song rodeo, and like, what's the 8-second thing? I'm like, well, here's the deal. Here's how rodeo works. But even
Yep.
those kind of songs, who they couldn't quite connect what it meant, still resonated with them. I think you have two artists
Right.
that really got to the soul and heart of all of the artists that followed. So two great influences, man. Look at you.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So that's kind of, I feel like those are two people that really kind of, caught my heart by storm,
Yeah.
and just, and just being in music and loving music. But man, there's so many great artists that have, came and gone and that are still here. And, you see a person like Garth, I mean, Tupac would have been doing the same thing if he was alive. You see a person like Garth Brooks, he came in, hit the world by storm, took time off to be with his family, came back, and he's still selling out stadiums.
Yeah. That was, I remember watching I think it was one of the Garth documentaries and it was talking about that exact thing, like not knowing if after he took the time off and stuck with it, like I'm taking my time off because I want to be with my girls while they grow up, and not knowing if he was going to sell out and he was going to be able to put people's butts into an arena. And then they sold
Right.
out like 9 shows in Chicago in like 45 minutes or something like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I think you're still an influential person, but again, those two artists you talk about, that global reach and the message, and I think you talked about your roots and going out to the farm and having that conservative values and having having the horses and really experiencing life, and then having that truth to then write about, a patriotic stuff, talking about trucks. I mean, this is not just you writing country songs because that's what country songs sound like. This is your life. You're just spitting your truth.
Hmm. Yeah. So for me, man, I think it's really unique because I've lived in, I mean, I have, I mean, I have all types of family. I have white family, I
Mm,
have black family, I have Asian family. So for me, I have a diverse background. I mean, I have brothers who, lived the gang life,
mhm.
and I've lived in Atlanta and Indianapolis and inner city communities, and I've lived in rural America.
Yeah.
And so I've got all these pieces that come together, and I have all these experiences, and being able to bring that together in a truthful way and not leave any of it out, not be afraid. I mean, there was a time in my life where I didn't really want to tell a lot of people that I loved, the rural country life
Yeah.
because I was afraid of what people were going to think. Because especially being from like Indiana, Kentucky area, you don't really see a lot of black cowboys at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was always like nervous to like bring that out because I had to deal with the this and that and and it was like, you know what? One day, man, I just woke up and I said, I'm not gonna worry about those people no more. I'm gonna be
Right.
exactly who I am and who I want to be. And man, I'm gonna tell you right now, like me being who I am today, it's changing communities. It's
Yeah.
changing perspective. And so for me, man, like it's just a blessing to have this opportunity to bridge gaps and open doors and open eyes. And I was just a part of a rodeo this weekend, and I
Mm-hmm.
did a show at a rodeo, and one thing that one of the representatives from the association said was, "Man, this is so cool to be able to come to a rodeo and see diversity.
Yeah.
Most rodeos you see either black people or you see either white people or Mexican people. It's
Right.
it's three separate things.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, man, I think my music, at my last concert, I saw young white kids, young black kids, older white men, older black men, and everybody in between.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, man, for my music to be able to reach such a wide range of people, I mean, it's just a bridge, man. And that's the most important thing about my music is it's a bridge for everybody. It can bring so many people in a room together and there's no boundaries.
I think that's a fantastic story. I love hearing that, and it's got to be cool from your perspective as well. From the stage, and it's got to feel good to be on a stage too. I know there's probably some time over the last year where that was a little more challenging to do, but to get out in that kind of environment and really, soak all of that in had to be a moving moment for you. But I want to, when you talk about the two genres that you mentioned, the two artists you mentioned, obviously you got hip hop and you have country. There's one unifying factor of both of those forms of music, and a lot of it is about truth. We talked about it with Tupac, we talked about it with Garth, and the fact that you had that moment. You talked about not knowing, not wanting to tell people that you were like, man, I kind of into this country thing, and I kind of like this rural life, and I get horses and all the, like, now just being able to be, you're like 1,000% honest, with yourself, with your music, with your writing. How freeing is it just to be like, this is me, this is my jam, this is my path, and the bridge comment as well. It's got to be super awesome to be in your
Oh
position.
man, I mean it's like freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like being chained and somebody saying, "Here, I'm gonna give you the keys. Just take the chains off."
Yeah.
Feel free to go where you want and be who you want and do the things that you've always wanted to do. And it's opened up so many doors. And man, I can't be, I mean, just I got a cousin. He's a big time cowboy,
Hmm.
and that's whose farm I usually go to and spend a lot of time at whenever he's able. And I mean, he's been a cowboy. I mean, since I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, straight cowboy, and I've always looked up to him. And he's 6'5", 6", 275 pounds, black dude walking in, country as I don't know what, and he's always been so confident in who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And because I moved around to so many different places, I remember going to Atlanta and moving there, and I met a bunch of people from New York, and they would always, hit me hard because of my accent.
Yeah.
And people, when there's country and then there's like hillbilly. When you from Kentucky, you sound hillbilly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like I had all that, and so I didn't understand it until I moved away, and it kind of like made me insecure about who I was, because you're around so many people and they say stuff like that. And so just going back and thinking about my cousin and just how confident he always was and the music he listened to. I mean, he was never afraid to listen to country. He was never afraid to listen to rock. He was never afraid to listen to Tupac. He just drove around with his windows down, listening to whatever he wanted to. And man, he's the one person in my life that I can say, if I could look back and say who inspired me the most to just be who I wanted to be, it would be him. His name's JJ.
JJ, that's awesome. I mean, it's great, and it's great to have. We talked about musical influences, but I think having that kind of influence on the confidence level, like real legit, he's doing what he wants to do, and he's going to listen to what he wants to listen to. And I think there's another great, phrase in there, is that people aren't always in the same mood all the time. Sometimes they need a song that's down here, but it lifts them up. And sometimes you need a song that's down here, and sometimes that can bring them back. There's, ebbs and flows of emotion and feelings and vibes. And like, hey, today, it's super sunny out, and I was, listening to Kentucky Dom all day. I was like, this is a beautiful day in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, we're getting on an airplane and we're flying down to Florida, and I'm probably going to listen to some Kenny Chesney when I get down there, and listen to some, Jimmy Buffett, just feel that vibe of like, we're in paradise for 5 days, getting out of Wisconsin for a little bit. But I think that's a great message about music, is it is that great conduit between the human spirit and what we're going through. If we're having a really bad day, there's a song in probably multiple genres that can lift us back up.
Right.
100%. So I want to talk about the new song, We All American. It's out now. People can go listen to it. But the video, here's what I want to get down to brass tacks about the video. We kind of talked about it in the open, but we got tanks, we got artillery, and I bet you had a blast filming this. When can people expect the video to be out and they can enjoy it along with you?
Yeah, I'm going to drop it on Memorial Day, which is May the 31st.
That's awesome.
So the way I drop my music is there's always a special day.
Mm-hmm.
So when I drop a music video or when I drop a song, it's always attached to something. Like when I put out Big Old Truck, it was my birthday. Whenever I put out Born and Raised, it was a song about being from Kentucky. It was National Kentucky Day.
Nice.
Whenever I put out Tonka Tonka, it was my niece's birthday.
Yeah.
So I put those things out because there's certain times in life that are meaningful to me like that, and it just helps me remember it. Yeah. So
right.
Just, I try to be purposeful with everything I do and not just do it, just fly by the seat of my pants. I try to just make sure like there's a purpose behind everything that I do.
I think that's genius. I think and especially in a day and age when life in music doesn't have to be the old way that it was. The cog in the machine was always like, here's how you do it. You start with an EP, and then you release a full length album, and then you tour behind that album, and then you go back. And I think what the realization has been, and I think magnified by COVID or the lockdowns, all that stuff, was like, people want music when they can get it. And I'm sure as an artist, nobody likes to sit on a song for a long time, because then when you get a chance to go out and perform it, you're like, I wrote this 5 years ago. I just been waiting to put it on an album. But now you can kind of get it out, and to be able to target.
Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're good. But to be able to kind of do it how you want to do it, when you want to do it, and know that your fans are just, they'll also remember, like, oh, Memorial Day. Everybody knows your niece's birthday now too. They're like, oh yeah, that's the date he released.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff, man. So the music video comes out on Memorial Day. What does 2021 look like for you, as far as, and you just did the show at the rodeo? Like, are you looking at some dates, looking to get out and build that bridge even bigger?
Yeah, I am. I actually just got booked to do a show in Clarksville, Tennessee. It's a like a military veterans big event that they're doing, like a festival.
Very cool.
And, Clarksville, Tennessee. There's a huge military base out there, and so it's supposed to be big. I think they're building it up right, and I'm really excited about that opportunity. I've had some people call me to maybe open up for like Nelly and Low Cash and guys like that. So, man, I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things. Like you said, on top of, being an entrepreneur and everything else I got going on in my life, there's also trying to build a music career. And so, man, I'm trying to get in there, man, get my feet wet. And, and I was really excited about doing this last concert because it just gives me more ammunition to show these guys that, hey, Kentucky Dom's coming, and either you can get on the track or you can wait and then be left behind.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. Like I said, I found you on Instagram, and I immediately was just drawn into the sound. I think, like we said, we together we'll come up with a specific term for the genre, because I don't think it has a name right now. I think you got so much awesomeness packed into one sound. But that was the thing that gravitated me towards you, because it wasn't exactly like every other song. You know what I'm saying? It's not exactly like every other sound. Sometimes in all genres, not just country, but you can get into a a zone where everything is kind of just the same BPM and it's about the same thing. I mean, you're just like coming out swinging, man. Like when I was going through the songs, I'm like, no, Kentucky Dom is like, he's not messing around, this fella. And
yeah, it's funny you said that because one of my buddies named Coffee Anderson, he's talking and he said he was talking about my music and the next songs I was going to come out, and he said, "Well, shoot, man, you shouldn't have put out such a good song the first time."
Like, they're all good. What are you talking about, man? I get that, but that also, and I think you probably realize this too, is when you do have great songs, you always have that thing in the back of your head for the next song. Like, okay, now I got to do something that's a little bit, always improving, always getting better. But I love the track that you're on, man, and I also wanted to say that you have some great messages, especially in We All American, about the troops. You got them all in there. We got the Army, Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines all in there. So I know there's a lot of love for those who serve and those who have served. So, I mean, much appreciated. That's something that's passionate to me as well. So that resonated as well. And I know it sounds like it really does with you too.
Yes, sir.
Oh, very cool stuff. Kentucky Dom, man, I'm so glad that we got a chance to catch up and I got to meet you virtually. I guess that's what we call this thing. But I'm so excited for the video to be released and to see where your career goes. Because I'll tell you what, man, I'm on the train. I'm on it. I'm on the Kentucky Dom.
Hey.
I'm rolling with it. And if you ever need anything from my desk, you just give me a holler, man. Let me know. We can get you back on here after Memorial Day. Talk about the video anytime, man. You're welcome back on here anytime.
All right, Cooper, man. I appreciate you having me, and I'm on the Cooper train too.
Whoop whoop! There we go, man. We're making things happen. About to take over. Kentucky Dom and Cooper taking over, man. Hey, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and let's get you on here very soon, man. Congratulations on the success so far. Can't wait to see the video.
All right, thanks, brother. Take care.
Awesome. Kentucky Dom right there. Follow him on all the social medias. Kentucky Dom. I think Kentucky_Dom on Instagram, and then look Kentucky Dom on Facebook, and all the music profiles too. Amazon Music, Spotify, all the things. Go and follow him. Very cool stuff. Video drops for We All American on Memorial Day. Perfect. I can't wait to see it. I saw pictures and I saw him on a tank, and I'm like, this is gonna be badass. This is gonna be badass, and I cannot wait to see the video. And we'll have Kentucky Dom back on very soon. Very soon. So big thanks to him for being on the show today. Thank you to all of you who are busy in the chat over here. Thank you for being a part of it and commenting. Always appreciate it. Makes me keep going, keeps the show going, keeps us doing it. As I say that, we're taking the next 4 days off because we are going on vacation to Naples. So we'll be back a week from today with the program, and we got a great week already lining up for next week too. So we're excited. Follow us on the socials so that you know who's coming and who's going to be a part of it. Joe, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Always appreciate you being in the chat. Means a lot to me, man. Pete, thank you. Everybody who's watching. I think my mom's in here. Hi, Mom. How you doing? She always likes to come on when Dr. J is on. I don't know. I think it's a thing. But great stuff. Thank you to Dr. J. Thank you to Kentucky Dom. Make sure you follow both of those gentlemen on their social medias, and great content, great music, great stuff today on the show. Let's throw the links up. Let's get out. There we go. I know we'll have a fun trip. I'm hoping it'll be safe. 4 a.m. flight, 4 a.m. trip to the airport, 7 a.m. flight. Wheels down in Fort Myers, 11 a.m. tomorrow. Boom. Thank y'all. Have a great week.